flop the nut straight.
Mother! You fool your mud! Mother! That is it!
That's it.
You ever watch a poker scene in a movie and think, yeah, that would never happen? Well, you're not alone. Hollywood loves poker, but Hollywood does not understand poker. In this video, we're diving into the most laughably unrealistic, mathematically impossible, and downright embarrassing poker hands ever put to film. And trust me, by the end, you'll either be crying from laughter or just crying. Let's start with a hand so absurd, so mathematically offensive, it should be considered a crime against poker. You ever watch a poker scene and just feel your soul leave your body? Like, you're not even mad, you're just disappointed? Welcome to Casino Royale. The scene that was supposed to make poker look sophisticated, intense, and high stakes, and instead plays out like it was written by someone who skimmed the rules of Texas Hold'em 5 minutes before filming started. Let's break this down, because the more you look at this hand, the more your brain starts short-circuiting. The pre-flop mystery, 4 players, nobody folds. In a high-stakes tournament where one wrong move could cost you tens of millions of dollars, not a single person looks at their cards and thinks, maybe not. Right away, that tells you we're not dealing with professionals. We're dealing with lunatics. Fast forward to the turn, we've got nut flush. 2 players with 2 pairs. And then James Bond with a straight flush, because why wouldn't he? Now at this point, you'd expect fireworks. You'd expect bets flying, players sweating, people actually playing poker. Instead, check, 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 check. These 4 maniacs are staring at a multi-million-dollar pot and collectively decide, nah, let's just see the river. It's like watching 4 people holding winning lottery tickets and refusing to cash them in just to see if they can get a bonus prize. Now, the poker gods look down at this absolute mess and say, you thought this was dumb? Hold my beer. River card, ace of spades, and suddenly, every single possible hand just got even stronger. This would be like a football game where both teams score a touchdown on the same play, and somehow the ref also wins the game. Now that every hand is absurdly strong, the table explodes into action. Player 1 shoves, player 2 shoves, Le Chiffre shoves, and Bond, well, he's just sitting there, sipping his martini, knowing he has the one hand that wins no matter what. And now for the grand reveal. The first guy, nut flush, outside. The second guy, 8s full of aces, nope. Le Chiffre, aces full of 8s, nice try. Bond, straight flush, because obviously. Now, let's talk about probabilities for a second. The odds of 4 players each having massive hands like this in the same round. Somewhere between winning the lottery, getting abducted by aliens, and being personally invited to dinner by Elon Musk. In real poker, this just does not happen. If you ever see a game where 4 people are confidently shoving into a pot like this, you're not at a poker table. You're in a scam casino run by time travelers. And now, the tip that makes no sense. Here comes my favorite part. Bond wins the 115 million pot and does something so dumb it almost outshines the hand itself. He takes a $500,000 chip and tips the dealer. Now, in a cash game, sure, great tip. But in a tournament, those chips have no actual value, so what does the dealer even do with it? Frame it, take it home as a souvenir, trade it in for a Starbucks gift card. This is the poker equivalent of paying your rent with Monopoly money. If this hand actually happened in real life, it wouldn't be legendary. It would be investigated by the FBI. And yet, this is what Hollywood thinks high-stakes poker looks like. If you see a game like this, don't sit down, run, preferably before someone pulls out a royal flush on command. Next up, there are bad poker scenes, and then there's in time. Now, if you haven't seen this movie, here's the basic idea. Instead of money, people use time as currency. Run out of time, you literally die. This means that poker isn't just high stakes, it's life or death stakes. Sounds intense, right? Well, hold on to your sanity, because what happens in this scene makes Casino Royale look like a masterclass in poker strategy. The hand starts with the pot already at 600 years, and we have absolutely no clue how we got here. Did someone raise? Did they limp? Did they just spontaneously agree to pile their life savings into the middle pre-flop like some dystopian game of chicken? We will never know. What we do know is that our hero, Justin Timberlake, has a stack of 250 years while the villain, who is insanely rich, has 9,860 years. This is already a disaster waiting to happen. Now the board is 7 Queen 5 Jack, and our villain, who has flopped a set of queens, aka an amazing hand, bets 50 years into a 600-year pot. 50 years. That's 1/12 of the pot, which, in poker terms, is like bringing a water gun to a forest fire. Meanwhile, Will is sitting there holding 8-4 off. And what does he do? He calls, risking 20% of his remaining life on a gut shot. At this point, even the Grim Reaper is watching like, dude, you're making my job too easy. The river is the 6th, which would you know it, gives our hero a straight. Except for one tiny detail, it accidentally gives Will a backdoor gut shot straight. This means that despite playing this hand like a toddler who just learned the rules 5 minutes ago, he has somehow lucked his way a monster. Does he take a moment to process this? Number. Instead, he suddenly gets distracted by a woman in a fur coat because apparently, even when gambling with literal years of his life, there's still time for romantic tension. And just when you think this scene can't get any dumber, it does. Our villain, sitting on trip queens, suddenly decides to min-raise 200 years. Yes, 200 years.
Raise you another 2 centuries.
A number that, 1, still doesn't even come close to the size of the pot. 2, just so happens to leave Will with only 30 seconds left to live. Now, I need to pause for a second. This guy is literally gambling for people's lives, and he doesn't even check how much time his opponent has left before betting. What if Will had 3 seconds left? What if he collapsed before he could even call? At this point, Will has 19 seconds left to live, which, by the way, means he just spent the last 10 seconds dramatically staring at the villain instead of, calling immediately and staying alive. But no, he has to wait. He has to sweat it out, because when you're one miscalculated blink away from dropping dead, why wouldn't you take your sweet time making a decision? And finally, he calls. The villain flips over his trip queens, fully expecting to win. But Will shows 8-4 offsuit and rakes in the 1,100-year pot like a complete lunatic. Because of course he does. Poker is a brutal game. It's not about who's nicer, who's older, or who deserves to win. It's about making the right decisions. Except in Lucky You, where one of the most ridiculous poker moments in movie history happens. Let's set the scene. It's the final stages of a high-stakes tournament. Tension is high. We've got father versus son, facing off in a massive pot that could define their careers. Sounds like a dream poker showdown, right? Well, buckle up, because what happens next spits in the face of poker strategy so hard that even Phil Ivey would need a moment to process it. The river comes out, and there's already serious money in the pot. The father, clearly feeling confident, decides to move all in with pocket kings. Not exactly a bad play, but in this particular situation, it's borderline reckless. His son, on the other hand, sits there, deep in thought. And why? Because he knows he has the best hand. At this point, anyone watching is thinking, okay, this is the moment. The son makes the call, eliminates his dad, and takes one step closer to the title. But no, because instead of calling and playing correct poker, he decides to fold on purpose, just to be nice. Now let's pause for a second. Can you imagine any other sport where this happens? A footballer missing a penalty on purpose in the World Cup final to let his dad win. A boxer taking a dive in the last round so his dad can take home the belt. A sprinter stopping at the finish line so his dad can cross first. Number, that doesn't happen. But somehow, in this movie, we're expected to believe that in a high-stakes poker tournament, where the entire point is to win, this guy just folds the winning hand and lets his dad take the pot.
Kings. Nice hand.
They're good. Woo! LC Cheever wins the pot.
If this were a real game, the tournament director would have to step in. Players would be flipping tables, there would be investigations, it would be a full-on scandal. But in Lucky You, we're supposed to sit there and say, wow, what a beautiful moment. Here's the thing about poker. It doesn't care about feelings. It doesn't care if you're playing against a stranger, a friend, or your own father. You play the hand correctly, or you lose. And if you ever find yourself at a poker table where someone just gives away a pot out of sentimentality, get up and leave immediately. Because that's not a poker game, that's a Hallmark movie with cards. So far, we've covered poker scenes that are so absurd they should come with a disclaimer, not based on actual poker. But now, let's talk about a scene that, for once, actually gets it right. Enter Rounders. Now, Rounders isn't just a movie, it's a rite of passage for anyone who's ever dreamed of making it big in poker. This film is to poker players what Rocky is to boxers. It's the movie that made half of us think we could quit our jobs and grind our way to stardom. And unlike Casino Royale or In Time, this movie doesn't rely on mathematical impossibilities or pure dumb luck. It's about skill, psychology, and reading your opponent. So let's break down the iconic showdown between Mike McDermott and Teddy KGB. This is not just a poker hand, it's the final boss fight, the moment Mike has been building toward the entire movie. He's already lost everything once, he's watched his friends bust, he's had his entire life crushed by Teddy KGB's underground poker ring. And now, it's personal. This isn't just about winning money, it's about proving he belongs. So when Mike sits down across from Teddy, we know something big is about to happen. Now, if you've seen this movie, you know Teddy KGB is one of the best villains in poker history. Why? Because he's not just a rich guy with an ego, he's unpredictable, he plays loose, he taunts his opponents, he's the kind of guy who would shove all in blind just because he's bored. But here's the thing, everyone has a tell, and Teddy's tell? Oreos. Yeah, you heard that right. Every time he's bluffing, he fiddles with his cookies before making a move. So when Mike notices this pattern, he waits. He doesn't need some magical straight flush, he doesn't need luck, he just lets Teddy hang himself. It's a perfect example of why poker isn't just a card game, it's a psychological war. Now here's where things get beautiful. Mike gets dealt a monster hand, but instead of playing it fast, he lets Teddy do all the work.
I'm laying this down, Teddy. Top 2 pair.
The board runs out. Teddy, completely unaware that he's about to get destroyed, shoves all in. Mike, instant call. Boom. Just like that, the game is over. Teddy flips his hand over, sees the bad news, and loses his absolute mind. He throws a tantrum, rants in his ridiculous Russian accent, and delivers one of the greatest lines in poker movie history. He beat me. Straight up. Pay that man his money.
He beat me. Straight up. Pay him. Pay that man his money.
Unlike the poker nightmares we've covered so far, this hand actually makes sense. Mike plays a strong hand perfectly. Teddy gets aggressive with the wrong timing. The entire scene is built on psychology, not unrealistic card luck. No crazy four-way all-ins, no last-second miracle cards, no one folding the nuts for sentimental reasons. Just a smart player making a brilliant read, waiting for the right moment, and getting paid. So, well done, Rounders. You actually understand poker. Now, if only we could get Hollywood to make more poker scenes like this. So there you have it. Hollywood's wild misunderstanding of poker, one ridiculous hand at a time. We've seen miracle straight flushes, life or death gutshot calls, and a guy literally folding the best hand out of sheer sentimentality. But if you thought that was bad, wait until you see what happens when real poker players decide to cheat. Because while movie poker is unrealistic, some of the real life scams that have gone down in poker history are even crazier. Click here to watch the biggest poker cheating scandals of all time, where players didn't need Hollywood magic to win.